As you can see, I've taken a few bites. This is ridiculous, huh? Yo, welcome back to Urban Street 420. I'm your host, 40. Today we're making infused nachos. And the cool thing is, you can do this two different ways. Number one, you can infuse the milk. Or number two, you can infuse the heavy cream. We're gonna infuse the milk in the pot by Noids. And the reason we're using the pot by Noids is because it's super simple to do small batch infusions of under 250 milliliters. So if you want to do 1 cup of butter, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of oil, 1 cup of maple syrup, 1 cup of honey, it doesn't matter. The pot by Noids is super easy to do that. Come on over here, let's get started, baby. All right, so we're closer. Let's go ahead and remove the cup from the pot by Noids. This is where you're going to place your material to decarb as well as infuse. What we're going to do is take 1 gram of 25% cannabis, and this is what we're going to decarb. Now you could grind this up, or you could use your fingers and break this into smaller pieces, and that's ideal because the reality is the pot by Noids does not have a stirring or grinding function. So making this really small is going to give more surface area, allowing for better infusion as well as decarbing, right? So after breaking this up into really small pieces, and again, if I had brought a grinder over here, I could have used a grinder. Then we're going to go ahead and drop this into the pot by Noids after putting the top on, right? After we do that, we're going to spin the dial. Right now it's on the power setting, and we're going to put it to the hexagon right here. This is the Decarb THC setting. The diamond looking one is the infuse setting. We're going to be back in about an hour and a half. When this thing is done, it's going to beep. The light will go from a pulsating or a breathing green to a solid color of white when it's ready. All right, so we're back. Let's pick up the cup. As you can see, the cannabis, I don't know how well you can see, but the cannabis is decarbed. There's been a color change, right? If I smell it, the smell smells a bit toasty. Now the cool thing about the pot by Noids is there's a measuring cup right here. So if I filled it here, that's 200 milliliters of milk, which is exactly what I want. So I'm gonna open this up. I'm gonna fill 200 milliliters of milk. And now 200 milliliters of milk, I'll go ahead and put the top back on. We'll go ahead and place this back in the pot by Noids. We can turn it so that we can see the name so it looks a bit cooler. We're gonna spin this over to the infuse and get this party started. Again, it's going to breathe or pulsate green until it's ready. When it's ready, it will be a solid white. I'll see you guys when this puppy is ready, yo. All right, so it just dinged. I turned the power selector to the off position. I'm gonna go ahead and take the cup out. Now keep in mind, this is quite hot. So if I touch this with my bare hand, I could burn myself. I'm gonna take the top of this off, move it off to the side. We'll take the filter, we'll put it on top. And it turns out that the day just got away from me. So I don't have time to make the nachos right now. And I don't want to eat a big thing of infused nachos this late at night. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and filter this out, put it in the cup, put the cup in the fridge, and tomorrow after my workout, I'll record the video of making the nachos, and I'll see you guys then, baby. Now that we've filtered the milk, I'll go ahead and remove the filter. Now keep in mind that we could save this sludge and use it for something else. In fact, because we infuse milk, you could scoop this out, drop it in your coffee tomorrow morning, and it would be good to go. I'm gonna move this off to the side, we'll put the milk in the fridge, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, baby. All right, so we're back. It's the next day, I've got the ingredients laid out. Let's begin. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm using Cannabutter. You could use regular butter if you want. We're gonna drop this inside right here. It's gonna start to melt. We're gonna go ahead and get a silicone spatula, 2 tablespoons of flour, and we're gonna drop that in. And we're gonna start stirring immediately, right? We don't want anything to burn, and we wanna do this until everything is smooth. Let me go ahead and grab my cell phone so you can see what it looks like. All right, so this is what it's looking like. It's becoming homogeneous. Now mind you, the butter is this color because it's infused Cannabutter. If you're using regular butter, it wouldn't look like this. So, as soon as this all melts and becomes combined, we're gonna put in our infused milk first. Let's grab that real quick. And after we put in our infused milk, we're gonna go ahead and grab this heavy cream right here. And we're gonna drop that in. Actually, I think this was the infused milk. The second thing was the infused milk. The first thing was the cream. We're gonna start mixing this puppy up, right? And we want it to become all combined, right? As that's becoming combined, we're gonna go ahead and grab some salt. Let me turn off the cell phone. It's hard to do some of these things one-handed. We're gonna grab some salt. We're gonna put in like a pinch of salt, right? And we're gonna keep mixing this up, keep mixing this up. Now we're gonna take 2 cups of cheese. Well, this is really slightly over 2 cups of cheese. This is 250 grams. 2 cups of cheese is like 226 grams or something like that. So a little over 2 cups. This is a mixture of mild cheddar and Emmental. You could do all cheddar, you could do mozzarella, you could do whatever you want, but certain cheeses melt better and some cheese combinations work really well. The cheddar and the Emmental work pretty good. This is a new recipe actually. If you have white pepper, you could use white pepper. I'm gonna use regular pepper, which may make our cheese stuff have little black specks, but that's fine with me. It doesn't really bother me. I'm gonna move this top out of the way because it's not on, right? And I'm just gonna keep stirring. It's important to note that the heat is on medium. You don't want to have the heat too high. You don't want the cheese to melt too fast. The cheese sauce is going to be better if you take your time. Also, the cheese that I had shredded, I shredded it myself from blocks of cheese. If you use pre-shredded cheese, that stuff has something on it that's gonna make it not as good as a cheese sauce. So I'm gonna stop talking because I'm making a mess. I'll see you guys when this is almost done. You might be tempted to turn up the heat and speed up this process, but don't do that because the reality is the cheese sauce is going to be better if you take your time. Also, if you wanted to put in other spices, you could right now. For example, we could put in cayenne pepper or smoked paprika. By adding other spices, it's going to change the flavor and the depth of your cheese sauce. Also, you don't have to use whole milk. We used whole milk, but that's because we infused the whole milk. You could use some other type of milk if you wanted. In fact, if you did not infuse this, you could use almond milk or oat milk or whatever you want, right? You don't have to use cream. If you don't use cream, cream is just adding another layer of complexity to this, but you could have used all milk. So instead of using 400 milliliters, 200 milliliters of milk, 200 milliliters of heavy cream, we could have just used 400 milliliters of milk, right? And that could have been 200 milliliters infused, 200 milliliters not, or all, or whatever you want, right? I'm gonna stop talking, keep stirring. I'll see you guys in a second. All right, let's take this off the stove. Let's give it a good swirl. And I'm gonna show you as I pick this up, the cheese sauce is quite nice. Now, depending on the cheese that you select, different cheeses are gonna melt differently. They're gonna have different textures. This is a really nice, smooth melted cheese, right? Or cheese sauce. Let's go ahead and take this off that burner. Let me double check how hot this is. That's because I wanna put the nachos there. I have this massive tray of nachos, and let's start building this puppy up. I'm gonna take this top, we're gonna spoon up some of these black beans, and we're just gonna put them all, and I'm not trying to take too much of the sauce. And of course, build these nachos however you want. You don't have to do this the way I'm doing it, right? You don't wanna put beans, you wanna put different color beans, you wanna put refried, you wanna put red beans, do whatever you like. I like black beans. We could have went with refried black beans, but I'm just putting regular black beans. And because I'm just gonna use it all, because what if I do? Save some of these beans? By the way, these nachos are not just for me. My buddy Terp Hunter is on his way right now. The one I made the video with the hash about, and he's coming over to enjoy the nachos with me. I'm gonna put this right here. Next, I'm gonna take our cheese sauce. Let's go ahead and give this a spin. We might not actually use all of it. The milk was 175 milligrams of potency after decarb and infusion. Who knows what that butter was? It was in my freezer for a little while, huh? So let's go ahead and put this out. All right, we don't want to put too much. That looks good. We can always come back and grab more later. I just don't want to have too much cheese and then it's not nice, huh? All right, now you can put however much infused cheese you want. And remember, this infused cheese is more potent than just the infused milk because I use infused Cannabutter. Total potency, I'm not exactly sure, but I would guesstimate that all the cheese is probably 400 to 500 milligrams because that butter was pretty potent. Let's go ahead and take this chicken right here. Now this chicken is al pastor marinated chicken, so this has got some nice spices. Inside this bowl, we've got diced onions, we've got diced tomatoes, diced bell peppers, and avocados. I'm just gonna sprinkle this everywhere. Now, one thing I did screw up on, by the way, is I forgot to grab some lime or lemon, which means that this avocado is gonna turn color sooner or later, huh? So I better get the thumbnail before that happens. This is what it looks like. Let me take a picture. We'll move this back. We'll give it a try. I'll see you then, baby. All right, this thing is plated. It looks amazing. Let's give it a try. Let me try to find a chip that's loaded with everything, right? Maybe this. Something like that. As you can see, I've taken a few bites. This is ridiculous, huh? I keep restarting the outro because there's a lot of information to include. Like, for example, you don't have to infuse this with whole milk. You could use coconut milk. You could use an alternative milk if you wanted to, but I wouldn't infuse an alternative milk except for coconut milk because the other milks don't have enough fat. If you wanted to use alternative milk like almond milk or oat milk or whatever, you could. Then just take concentrate, a little bit of lecithin, mix it into the cheese sauce for like 10 minutes while you're making it to make sure everything is evenly distributed, and then you don't have to infuse the milk or the heavy cream. Now keep this in mind, you don't have to use heavy cream. You could just use milk in whatever type of milk you decide to use. By using the heavy cream, you're adding another level of complexity to the flavor. You don't have to use infused Cannabutter. You don't have to infuse anything. You could put whatever toppings you want. I should have put jalapenos, but I didn't have any. Anyways, guys, gals, everybody, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. You know the deal, baby. Woo! Till next time, I'm out.